Ron and Ann, I think we've all been feeling that things are shaking in our world. And our guests this week have brought timely encouragement. Today is no exception. Regina Thomas is the founder of Restorative Hope Ministry. She's a wife, mother, grandmother. She says, quote, "Even while the storm rages and the winds blow fiercely, walk by faith, swaddled in His glory." Regina has been doing just that since she was diagnosed with retinitis pigmentosa over 40 years ago. She has some important insights from her journey. We'll be back in a bit. Ron and Ann. Oh, we are so looking forward to that weekend. Hope we can see you there. Speaking of love, I just learned that my guest asked her husband to marry her 8 days after she met him. Yeah, she asked him. Okay, that's not the reason she's here. That's not the story, but just an interesting insight. The fact that my guest has been a nurse for 37 years tells me that we're in caring company. Regina Thomas has also been married for 37 years. She's a mother of 4, grandmother of 4, and she is walking by faith, swaddled in His glory. All the way from Columbia, South Carolina. Welcome, yes. Regina.
Good to be here, Mike.
And it's actually Regina.
Regina.
Born in Panama?
Panama.
And much of your childhood there. Mm-hmm. I'm glad to read, "God placed a fight in my belly from birth." You needed to have that fight for the journey that would be yours. You had a tough childhood, a lot of embarrassment, a lot of humiliation. Why?
Well, I think a lot of it was, when I said that God placed a fight in my belly, I guess God knows ahead of time what we're going to face in life.
I guess
He knows
does.
what is down the road, and we don't know. I was a fighter in high school. I fought a lot. And
are you talking about
in high
fighting?
School? Yeah, literally fight boys, and got my head chopped open. But in spite of all that, I think God was preparing me because I'm a fighter now. I remember one year, about 2000, the Lord told me, said, "I want you to fight with the same intensity that you fought back then." And I didn't know what He was saying, but no, I realized what it is because I walk through life and I fight for what is mine. God promised me that, and I walked through that. So that's what my book is all about.
You were doing a lot of stumbling and a lot of struggling because you had an undiagnosed problem for your whole growing up years. In fact, until you were 28, you were finally diagnosed with retinitis pigmentosa. It's really very tragic as I read your story because the signs were all there. You were even in the right places to get medical help, and you were overlooked.
That's it. That's it. And I can recall, Moira, as I was coming up as a child, I would remember when everybody would be playing in the dark and they would run under the buildings, I would never dare to go under there. And I thought that was normal. I mean, many times I hit a post and realized that the post just didn't move, but I ended up, so I was really fearful of that. And all through school, I walked through high school and I would wait till everybody cleared the halls and coming down the stairs, and I had to walk certain places, but I still didn't really know what my problem was, and my family didn't really know. My brothers would laugh at me because they said, "Move that there because Regina is coming. She's going to stumble over it." And sure enough, Regina, she would stumble over it. But, it was very embarrassing a lot of time because my brothers would call me, "Excuse me." Everything was excuse me.
They called you excuse me.
Excuse me, and I went through life saying excuse, because I didn't really know what my problem was. And so everywhere I went, I'll bump into people, and it was always excuse me,
Was it your first pregnancy that brought things
No, my fourth one, actually.
The fourth?
When I began to have a lot of floaters in my eyes, and, they began to interrupt even while I was driving, and I would see this thing go by me, and I would be like, pulled brakes, and then that's what took me to the doctor. And my vision was not any different, but when I went to the doctor, he said, "Yeah, you're losing," because I was having floaters a lot, and he said, "You're losing your vision." And he said floaters are normal, but when they become a problem like that, and because of the pregnancy, you know, it affected your cells reproduce real, and it just killed a lot of my cells. As a matter of fact, after that, I got pregnant again, and I had to have an abortion because of that, because the doctor said, because you lost so much vision back then. I was legally blind in '79, but I decided, my doctor said, you could get disability. I said, no. You know, I went on because I said, until it's over, God said it's over, it's not over. I was about to quit school because I thought I couldn't make it.
You were about to graduate in your nursing.
About to graduate in nursing, and I thought, well, I can't do it. You know, I thought I was going to be blind the next day, but I thank God that I'm here today. And you know, I've lost quite a bit of vision and still continue to lose, but God is my hope. Is my hope.
Your husband encouraged you to finish your nursing.
Yes, he did.
And you would go on and be a nurse for 37 years.
Yes, I did, traveling all over the United States. And people would say, how did you do it? You know, you walk in, and I had struggles then. But I learned how to make, you know, work things out in my own mind. And it wasn't until after I had the surgery on my eyes that I thought, I can't go anymore. Can't do nursing anymore, so I had to give it up then, which was very hard for me.
So many years of the threat of maybe going blind, the fears. You wondered if your husband would love you if you were to become blind.
Yes.
Just so much to deal with. But you talk about your Heavenly Father as Daddy.
Yes, yes.
When did he become Daddy to you?
In the year 72, actually, I had an encounter with the Lord, and I was Catholic and never heard the term salvation, but I did do the prayer because I did love God. I knew I didn't know Jesus. He was baby Jesus to me, but yet he was close to me. He was close to me. But in '74, I actually received the Lord through a woman that at the hospital, the book. This Cross and the Switchblade with nursing, you know, you always want
Nikki
something
Cruz.
free. Yeah.
Oh.
I saw the book every room I went to, and I thought, somebody's giving out these books. And I asked the lady, she said, yes, there's a lady went up the hall, and I ran up the hall, and I said, can I have a book? She said, yes. I mean, there was a smile from here to here that I've never seen. This was a true Christian. I mean, the first I've ever seen a Christian. I said, yes, you can have a book. And I don't think I ever read the book at that particular time. But there was something about that. She invited me to church, and I went to church, and when I went, I remember the morning when the pastor gave the altar call. I was never used to that. But when he said, do you want Jesus? I ran up to the altar, and he wasn't finished. And I looked, and nobody's at the altar, and the enemy's like, go back to your seat. And I'm like, no, I want Jesus. I really want Jesus. And I went up there, and all of a sudden, people started coming, and I received the Lord. And from that day, Moira, I have never turned back on God. It's been so real.
You would need him for more than just your sight challenge.
Yes, yes.
When did you reach a point in your marriage where you didn't want to live anymore?
That was actually prior to me even receiving God. I'd received the Lord actually in '72, so I didn't really know God, but I had an issue when I was coming up. My dad became alcoholic because I believe it was because I'd gotten pregnant early, and I was actually, he had so much hope for me. And then when I met my husband and we got married, and then he began to drink a lot, and I began to look at that, and I couldn't cope with it. No, he loved me. It wasn't anything with him. I mean, I was really addicted to him. I went everywhere. I went to work with him.